Good evening, and you're very welcome back to Around the Grounds here at Finalwhistle.ie. On the Saturday evening, we have action coming later on in the programme from the Women's National League, but we will start with the only first division tie of the day, should I say, was the meeting of Longford Town and Waterford in Bishopsgate, where the final whistle has just blown in the last few minutes. And crossing live over to Bishopsgate, Denise O'Flaherty will bring you this report. Don't know if Denise is there at the moment. We'll try and cross to her there in a moment or so. I think Denise is just having some slight technical difficulties in trying to reach us from Longford at the moment. We'll try and get a connection back with her in a couple of minutes, but we'll start with the Women's National League games instead. Earlier on today, Shelbourne were in action against DLR Waves at Tolka Park, and reporting on the game was Aaron Clark.
It's finished here at Tolka Park. Shelbourne win 4-0 and extend their unbeaten run at home to 20 games. Second half goals is what killed the game for DLR Waves. 2 goals in quick succession from Saoirse Noonan and Jess Sue, followed by another goal by Jess Sue, and finished off with a header by Shauna Fox is what separated the sides. Shelbourne in control from the second half on. A bit difficult in the first half, were under pressure at times, and DLR Waves sort of limited them to chances. Saoirse Noonan saw an effort being pushed over the bar by Eve Bandana, while Jessie Stapleton hit the crossbar from the other side. Kate Mooney was lively in the first half while she played for the Waves, but unfortunately for Waves, they just couldn't command the shells, and in the second half the shackles come off, allowing Shelbourne just to get into more free flowing, and it was an easy enough performance in the end from the Reds.
That was, of course, Aaron reporting earlier on today from Tolka Park. Now, in another game today, of course, Sligo Rovers were in action against Cork City down at the Showgrounds, and reporting on the game was Breffney Early.
Rovers will be the happier of the two sides here in the Showgrounds after a 2-0 victory over visitors Cork City today. The bottom of the table clash between the two sides had, of course, finished 2-1 in the Bitterreds' favour back in Turner's Cross earlier in the season in their first ever victory, and they managed to repeat that. Less than 40 seconds into the game, it was a fantastic ball in from Gemma McGuinness, found the head of Emma Doherty, and her effort left the returning Maria O'Sullivan with absolutely no chance in the Cork goal. 1-0 to the Bitterred in the first minute. That would nearly be doubled moments later when O'Sullivan pulled off a fantastic save from Lauren Bowles, the key midfielder in the Sligo team. Really did have an opportunity to double that lead, but just couldn't keep her effort on goal. Maria O'Sullivan with a fantastic save from that. 25 minutes in, it was Gemma McGuinness who found herself on the end of a Doherty through ball, and her lobbed effort just went to the left of the goal and wide, and it would pretty much finish the half like that. 1-0 to the Bitterred in the first half, but it was a late strike after the second half lost a bit of shape. Both teams struggling to maybe make an impact. Some substitutions, a few injuries as well on either side. Game lost a little bit of shape for most of the second half, but late on, a good through ball through to Emma Doherty forced another fine save out of O'Sullivan before very late on Gemma McGuinness, who'd been in impressive form all day for the Bitterred, found herself in a bit of space and slotted the ball past the advancing O'Sullivan in the Cork City goal to double the lead. 2-0 here very later on. Her final kick of the game, she was substituted just moments later to a resounding applause from the small but vocal crowd here in the Showgrounds. And it's been a good day for Steve Feeney and his side. Some impressive performances from both sides, particularly O'Sullivan in goals, Lauren Bowles and Emma Doherty on Gemma McGuinness as well on the Sligo Rover side, all putting in some really impressive performances, but it wasn't to be for Cork City, and their hunt for their first win in a long time under new manager Jess Lawton will continue. Steve Feeney, the happier of the two managers here. 2-0 here, Sligo moving the way up the league table.
And a big thanks to Breffney, of course, for sending us that in earlier from the Showgrounds. Now we will try and go back to Denise over in Bishopsgate to see if we can get a full-time report on the game between Longford and Waterford this evening. Denise, can you hear me? No, I'd say we're going to have an issue in trying to reach Denise. We might try and come back to her in a bit. Can't seem to get through to her over in Longford at the moment, but we will continue our action, of course, in the WNL. Galway Women's FC were looking to continue their charge against Bohemians today at Eamon DC Park, and watching all of the action for us was Jack Joy. I don't think we have Jack's report ready and waiting to go. Instead, we will go to the Wexford Youths versus Pima United game at Ferry Carrick Park, a tasty fixture with two teams looking to make a wave up toward the top of the league table. Watching the action was Rory Morrow.
It was a meeting of second and third place in the WNL tonight as Wexford Youths hosted Pima United. It was the match ended, the result was a free draw, a real thriller, and a great advert for women's football and the Women's National League in Ireland as a whole. The biggest benefactors from this are undoubtedly Shelbourne, who now lead the league table by 7 points, extending the gap at the top. But what a match this was between the teams just beneath Shelbourne. Pima came into this off the back of two narrow 1-0 defeats. Yeah, they opened the scoring in the opening 15 minutes. Erin McLaughlin striking after Sinead Boyle's driving run. Doyle even, her driving run drew a save from homekeeper Maeve Williams, and McLaughlin tapped away the rebound. Less than a minute later, Wexford were level. Ellen Malloy, demonstrating her international pedigree, ruthlessly pouncing on an astray header at the back. And in half an hour, Malloy put Wexford ahead for the first time after she was set up by her fellow forward, Katie Murphy. But the match continued to seesaw, the goals continued to come, it really was goals galore. From an attacking corner, Piemont maintained the momentum. Stephanie Roach crossed the ball back in, and Doyle was there with a well-anticipated header from close range to equalise. Yeah, in 42 minutes, after she was teed up by Becca Watkins, Murphy struck the ball home, and it was 3-2 to Wexford Youths at half time. Yet immediately after the interval, Pima came out all guns blazing. Doyle had a driving run from midfield, a really positive forward thrust as a feature of the match. She fed it to Jetta Berra on the right, and her cutback found Anya O'Gorman, who stroked the ball into the top corner, a really good finish. And the chances continued to come. Piemont probably edged the second half, you'd say. Maeve Williams, the home keeper, tipped over fantastically to deny McLaughlin a second, and that was probably the closest either came. Edna Kennedy made her comeback from injury, her first appearance in 2022 for the hosts. And it all got a bit scrappy towards the end. Piemont had 3 bookings in a very short space of time, 10 minutes, and they also had Stephanie Roach sent off for what I believe was an off-the-ball offence. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but the referee sent her off anyway. And Piemont were down to 10 men for 10 women even for the remainder. Yet they saw it out comfortably, and a free game, a free thriller. It was fantastic to watch, a great advert for the WNL and for women's football. Neither side deserves to lose, although neither will be happy they've won. As I said earlier, the real winners from this are Shelbourne, who extend their lead to 7 points at the top of the WNL.
And that, of course, was Rory Morrow reporting there. Now we'll try and cut back to the report coming from the Galway versus Bohemians game at Eamon DC Park. Here's Jack Joy.
It was Galway 1, Bohemians 1 at Eamon Dacey Park this evening. Galway were by far the better team and had the lion's share of possession all game, but they really just couldn't get that second goal that they needed to take them past Bohemians, and it ended in a draw. Bohemians probably had the best chance early on. Sinead Taylor in the first minute got on the end of a long Lisa Murphy ball, but she stabbed her effort just narrowly wide. And after that, it was all Galway. With regards to possession, they had a lot of the ball around midfield, but they couldn't really create in the final third. And Rachel Kelly and her defence weren't too troubled at all by Galway in the opening stages of the half, anyways. It was Bohemians that looked far more likely to score through Sinead Taylor, who was using her pace and power up front to constantly threaten the Galway defence. Another long ball from Lisa Murphy to Taylor resulted in her having another effort on goal, and it was Abigail Ronayne in the Galway goal that made an excellent save to smother the ball to stop Bohemians going ahead. But that didn't stop Sinead Taylor in her tracks anyway. 3 minutes later, she got into another ball, a wonderful pass from Brona Kane on the left wing, curled right to her feet, and she got ahead of her defenders, Taylor, and smashed the ball past Ronayne to send Bohemians a goal up, despite having very little possession at all. Galway after that they continued to push, but they still had trouble creating in the final third. It wasn't until toward the end of the half that they started to create a few chances. And Rachel Kelly in the Bohemians goal made some vital saves to stop them equalising. But Galway kept the pressure on and finally did get that breakthrough just before half time when Shauna Brennan cross found Chloe Singleton, who powered a header home into the bottom left corner to see Galway going level at the break. After the break, Galway were even in more control. They had all possession, hemmed in Bohemians into their area, and Bohs really struggled to get forward at all. They only had a handful of forays into the Galway area all throughout the second half. But Galway, again, in front of goal, very timid and didn't have any huge chances. I suppose similar to the first half, they did create more as the half went on. Laura Ganache came on halfway through the second period, and she had a chance when she got on the end of a Shauna Brennan, or sorry, a Julianne Russell corner, but she struck her effort over. Emma Starr as well had two chances, one of which was a header, which was just cleared off the line by a Bohemians defender, and she had another one in the 96th minute, which she hit to the side netting, which really sealed the draw for both sides. So it ended 1-1 at Eamon Dacey Park. Galway unbeaten in 5 games now, and they move up to 5th in the WNL, while Bohs manage another draw. They have the most draws at 4 in the division, but they dropped to 8 after Sligo Rovers overtook them today with a win.
And that, of course, was Jack Joy watching the second of our 6 p.m. games today in the Women's National League. We'll try one more time to try and get a report from Denise O'Flaherty over at Bishopsgate if we'll be able to cut live to her. I don't know if Denise is able to get a connection at the moment. Can you hear me, Denise? Don't know. Denise might be able to hear me, but I don't think we will be able to hear her this evening from what I can see at the moment. I think a couple of bugs coming in the system over at Longford at the moment seems to be hindering us getting a live report from herself this evening. But the game has finished up, of course. It finished up as a 3-0 win for Waterford this evening. A big win for them as they now gain a little bit of extra ground over Longford. A sting in the table, a sting, should I say, for them, as they will obviously not have had high hopes for that game. They would have been looking to try and get a win and try and get up in the league table, but alas, Waterford getting a 3-0 win there. An early Matthew Dunn own goal, a bizarre own goal, coming to Waterford's aid earlier on, giving them a 1-0 lead. The second goal wouldn't come until the 72nd minute as Phoenix Patterson managed to get his 10th goal of the season, and 4 minutes into added time, Cian Kavanagh netted the third goal of the game for Waterford. We'll take a look at the league table in the first division and just take a look at where that stands at the moment. Of course, Waterford now on 29 points, while Longford are on 25, and it remains Galway with a 2-point lead. Interesting to see how the league shapes up next Friday. And looking at the statistics as well from the first division, as I said, Phoenix Patterson is on 10 goals for the season so far. He remains the league's top goal scorer, 2 ahead of Stephen Walsh, 3 ahead of Bennett O'Brien Whitmarsh, while his teammate Lewis Britton is on 7 goals as well. And in the clean sheet stats, it's a clean sheet this evening for Brian Murphy. That's his 5th of the season. Now sees him tied with Luke Dennison, his opposite number in this evening's clash, while Jack Brady of Treaty United is also on 5 goals as well. So we'll move back and look at some other reports from the games today, of course, at Lone Town. They've been high-flying so far this season, looking to continue their form against bottom-of-the-table Treaty United. Reporting from Lissy Woolen is Sean Comer.
Full-time in Lizzie Woolen and Athlone continue their winning streak in the Women's National League. They make it 6 wins in a row with a 4-1 win over Treaty United here tonight. Goals from Emily Corbett via 2 penalties, long-range efforts from Jessica Hennessy and Miriam Devaney do the job for Athlone. Heidi O'Sullivan did score one from the spot for Treaty, but nonetheless it mattered little for them. It took some time for Athlone to get going in this one, I suppose, in the early minutes. Gillian Keane and Corbett could have had goals after they were played through, but both of their efforts straight at Michaela Mitchell in the Treaty United net. Laurie Ryan came close in the 21st minute, floated an effort at goal, which smacked the post. The breakthrough eventually came in the 42nd minute when Hennessy picked up the ball in defence and just played out. She sauntered forward under little pressure and decided to have a crack at goal. Her effort found the back of the net, long-range effort, first goal of the season for the centre half. Only 1-0 heading into half-time, but it felt like Athlone did deserve the lead. It became a bit hectic around the 52nd minute mark. Devaney buttoned across from the right and Gillian Keenan chested it down. She was bundled in the box, and Emily Corbett stepped up and sent the keeper the wrong way to make it 2-0 to Athlone. About 2 minutes later, a bit of controversy happened. Kelsey Monroe headed away a ball and went down with a head injury, but play continued and it culminated in Hennessy pushing Ciara Griffin in the back, which gave the referee the chance to point to the spot, and he did. 3 minutes passed between the penalty being given and taken due to Monroe being seen to. Monroe was fine, she was able to continue, but nonetheless, Heidi O'Sullivan stepped up and slotted in to give Treaty somewhat of a lifeline, but it only lasted so long because another 2 minutes later, Corbett sent Devaney through on goal. She was fouled running through. Corbett stepped up again, and despite Michaela Mitchell guessing the right way, the ball went in. 3-1 to Athlone, and you knew it was over at that stage, and then it was signed, sealed and delivered. Kate got his icing in the 73rd minute. When Devaney got the ball in midfield, she was pressed little, and a bit like Hennessy before, she just decided to have a crack at goal. She slipped hitting the shot, but despite that, the ball managed to go in. And yeah, that was it for Athlone. That seals the 4-1 win. Really the informed team now in the Women's National League. They make it 6 wins in a row. Tough one next week when they travel to Ferrycarrig to take on Wexford, but they'll be relishing that challenge.
And of course, that was Sean Comer reporting earlier on this evening from the Athlone Town Stadium. We'll take a look at the results from today's games. That concludes our Around the Grounds reports from today's action. Shelbourne 4-0 winners over the DLR Vibes, a big second half performance. They're extending their lead at the top of the table. Sligo Rovers with a 2-0 home win against Cork City, a big win, of course, for Sligo. Wexford and Pima United played out a 6-goal thriller in Ferrycarrig Park, but it was Anya O'Gorman who managed to net into the second half that sealed a point for Peamount United in that game. Not the result that Peamount would be looking for. Wexford, of course, continued to hang on to second place. Galway United and Bohemians finishing all square. Galway looked the better team in that game, but Bohs will be happy to have taken a point from that. And as Sean mentioned there, Athlone 4-1 winners over Treaty United. Not the best of season so far for Treaty, but Athlone will be relishing the 3 points as they continue to high fly up into the league table. And obviously in the first division as well, Waterford 3-0 winners over Longford Town. We'll look at the league table from the Women's National League, and Shelbourne now 7 points clear of second place Wexford Youths. Wexford getting the extra points, seeing them up to 23 points, while Athlone Town have closed the gap to just 1 point. They will meet, of course, next weekend. But Pima United now down to fourth in that league table. We'll take a look at the statistics as well, starting with the top goal scorers. Emily Corbett continued her scoring form with 2 goals today, moving her to 10 for the season, while Ella Malloy also netted a brace, moving her to a tally of 9 goals so far. And joining her on 9 is Anya O'Gorman, as she rescued a point for Peamount earlier on today as well. And looking at the goalkeeping statistics from that league as well, Amanda Budden continues to thwart the opposition attackers. She managed her 8th shutout of the season so far in their 4-0 win this afternoon, while Amy Mahon was the other goalkeeper to register a clean sheet this afternoon in the division, her first of the season, as she continues to deputise for the injured Christian Sample. So that concludes our action and statistics as well. We'll look at the fixtures, starting with Monday. We start with the Premier Division. All games kick off at 7:45 unless stated otherwise. St. Patrick's Athletic host Bohemians in Inchicore in a Dublin derby. Title chasing Derry make the trip west to the showgrounds to meet Sligo Rovers. Shelburne meet relegation battling UCD at Tulk Park. Drogheda look for back-to-back wins as they meet title-elect Shamrock Rovers at Head in the Game Park, while in the 8 o'clock kickoff, Finn Harps bid for a much-needed points at Finn Park. They entertain third-placed Dundalk. And we're back for more WNL action next Saturday. DLR Waves look to push aside their defeat today as they host Galway Women's FC at the UCD Bowl. Kickoff in that game is at 4 p.m. Treaty United will look for their first points of the season as they host Sligo Rovers on Shannonside. While top of the table, Shelburne travels south to Cork City to meet Cork City at Turner's Cross. Kickoff in both of those games is at 5 p.m. Pima United cross Dublin City to meet Bohemians at Dalymount Park. They're searching for a first win in 5 games so far this season. They kick off at 6 p.m, while in the later kickoff, Wexford Youths take on High Flying Athlone in Ferrycarrig Park. Kickoff, of course, in that one is at 6:30 p.m. That concludes all of our action from around the grounds this evening. My thanks to all of the reporters for sending in their reports. All of their match reports, of course, will be available on the Finalwhistle.ie website, and we'll be back for Around the Grounds Monday for the SSE Electricity Premier Division, and back next Saturday for more action from the Women's National League. My thanks to you, the viewer, for watching this evening. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. I'll be chatting to you again soon, but goodbye for now.